There was one professor who hated me for that. He thought I was just the most disrespectful human to ever walk the earth.
Hey squirrels, welcome to AvyHD, where ADHD isn't some clinical diagnosis, it's just life. I'm Avy, your always honest tour guide through this beautiful mess. Over here, we're not about fixing yourself. We're about figuring out how to actually enjoy your life as you are. So grab a snack and let's go. Hi, squirrels. Today, we are talking about something that I think a lot of people feel, but don't always have the language for. What it means to see the invisible as an entrepreneur and as creative, especially when you have ADHD. Because ADHD is not just distraction or chaos, it's pattern recognition and intuition and seeing 5 steps ahead of everyone else when they're still like stuck on step 1, and learning to give yourself grace for that, for how your brain actually works. And that's a journey. And my guest today embodies all of this. Kyrus Keenan Westcott, better known as, or otherwise known as, the Vibe with I, is a social media content creator and mental health advocate who uses humor and honest storytelling to make conversations about ADHD and anxiety approachable. You were diagnosed with ADHD in your late 30s, and Kai focuses on educating and entertaining his community to help them feel seen, validated, and empowered. He brings the energy of a supportive, funny friend who keeps it real, blending his West Coast heart with his East Coast life. Kai, I'm so excited you're here. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. Thank you. That was very lovely. Thank you.
I love that. I also love the energy of a supportive, funny friend. I like to say that I'm like your smartass friend. Like, can't keep my opinions to myself. Even if
I'm that funny best friend in a movie. Like, I'm not the main character, but I'm like that funny best friend that like gets the less.
Everyone has a role. Listen.
Yes. This is our moment to shine. This is our moment.
Listen, we're talking about patterns like today as it is. So everyone has a role. But when I say seeing the invisible, what does that bring up for you specifically as a creative?
There's so many things that I feel that we ADHD folk have to deal with that people just can't see. And so I feel as though people sometimes, I think that's one of the reasons why there's such a stigma, right? Because it's easy to see like a physical injury or a physical disability and be like, oh, that person needs help, or, that person, needs assistance. But there's some things that happen up here in our brain that people can't see. And because of that, it's hard for people to understand how we sometimes have to work twice as hard to do simple things and to accomplish simple tasks. It's also hard because we also mask, right? So on top of it being invisible, it's kind of like a double shield because we also sometimes prevent people from seeing it. And that's exhausting. And it's really tough to live a life like that. So as a creative, a lot of people say, yeah, ADHD folk are very creative. Yes, but the hard part is actually doing it, right? You can say, oh, I love writing books, I love drawing, but the process of actually getting the materials and then actually putting aside time to do the drawing, like that kind of struggle people don't see. So when I think of invisible, that's the first thing that comes to mind.
Yeah, 100%. And there's also an element that it's so difficult to understand the things that are difficult for us.
Yeah.
What do you mean you can't dial the phone?
Yeah.
Everyone can dial the phone.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So like you're doubly invisible, right? Because you're masking and you're not asking for help. You're also not necessarily surrounding yourself by the people who are going to be willing to help you.
Sure.
Right? We kind of close ourselves off from being able to ask for that help by not asking for help.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And we're used to that because sometimes afraid to ask for help, or even sometimes not knowing to ask for help in the first place, because like there is an ADHD shame that we all have to deal with. And we beat ourselves up if we can't accomplish these tasks. And what people need to understand is that there are like the things that you're referencing, that all comes down to our executive functioning. And like, so something that might seem very simple for one person, like dialing the phone, it's not that easy for us. And it's not a lazy thing. It is quite literally a chemical imbalance in our brain in our prefrontal cortex that is preventing us from being able to accomplish these tasks. And so it's really, really hard. It's like trying to run on a broken foot. Yeah, you can still run, but it's going to hurt and it's really difficult to do it.
Yeah. And you're probably causing long-term damage to yourself and you're slowing people down around you.
Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm.
Whereas if I could put you in a wheelchair, we could run.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, we get really far. And like, that's where like things like therapy is our wheelchair. Medicine is our wheelchair. Some of the ADHD focused apps out there, those are our wheelchairs. And so again, going back to the invisibility side of it, like that's why it's so hard for people to understand the struggle, because you can't see it like you could see, somebody with a physical injury.
It's so interesting because there's so much invisibility with ADHD. And I don't know if you have this as well, where you can see things coming that other people can't.
Yeah, we're very self-aware, I think. We're very self-aware, and it's very easy for us. It's kind of like a double-edged sword, because to that point, yeah, we can see things coming from far away, just being neurodivergent in general. But also sometimes we are taken off guard because of things like time blindness. So like, so yes, we can see things, but we also lose track of things very easily. So it's kind of like this it's like a double-edged sword in a way, being neurodivergent.
Also, just because I can see it coming, I'm not necessarily going to do anything about it.
Sure. Oh, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Prediction and action are totally different.
Completely different things. Yes, completely different things. It's one of the reasons why ADHD folk usually work better under pressure. It's one of the reasons why, like in college, a lot of us would, we know that the due date for a paper is Friday by midnight, right? But we're probably not going to do it until the pressure is on us to get it done, because ADHD folk work under pressure, sometimes better under pressure, believe me or not. So yeah, we see it coming, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we have the executive function to actually proactively do something about it.
And if the system didn't actually lock at midnight, I'm handing that paper in at 2 a.m.
Oh, sure.
I started in at 11.
Yeah, 100%. And it's funny because some of my best graded papers back in college were things that I handed in last minute. But I'm on top of that, I am also older just in general. So I was in the time frame of college where we had to print out our papers and hand it.
Oh yeah, I had to
hand it in. So it was due during that class period, because the idea of emailing a paper to me now it's foreign to me, because we have to print it out and staple it and have an MLA format and submit it, at the beginning of class.
So we didn't have to submit them in class. We had to submit them by a specific time to the mailbox.
Oh, and I see. Yeah.
Printing down the hole at 4:59 and 59 seconds.
Oh yeah. Those were the days.
Who hated me for that. He thought I was just the most disrespectful human to ever walk the earth.
Yes. And that's a common thing. A lot of times authority figures in our life growing up, they would clock us as lazy, or not dedicated, or we didn't take things seriously. And we would, again, beat ourselves up over this because we believe them. We're like, maybe I am lazy. Maybe I am just procrastinating all the time. But again, it's funny looking back at it now with 2020 hindsight, because you realize that no, I wasn't lazy. There was quite literally, the neurons in my brain were quite literally not firing like a neurotypical person. And that prevented me. And I'm not saying that as an excuse. It's just a reason. And so now that we have the reason, we can, take the actions necessary to prevent that kind of stuff from happening.
Absolutely. And to your point about societal perception and the way that people see us and have seen us over our lives, the type of intelligence that a lot of ADHD folk have is not really recognized.
Sure.
Your creative intelligence, your spatial intelligence, your awareness intelligence, pattern recognition, all of those things aren't really lauded as intelligent because you can't grade it on a test.
Right. And it's something that, and we're like that because we have to be in order to survive. right? We have to be more aware physically. We have to be more aware mentally. We have to be aware of our actions and other people's actions, because if we're not, then we're not being proactive. And then that's when we fall into some of the ADHD struggles and traps that affect a lot of people. So we have to be extra, in order to literally survive in a world that wasn't built for our brains.
Yeah. I saw a random TikTok probably 5 years ago that I never researched or did anything else with, but keep in my mind that it was this woman talking about how people with ADHD are just hunters in a gatherer society. Mm-hmm. Like if you think about it evolutionarily, as if your mind is a hunter mind, everything that we consider to be a deficit in our sitting on our butt society is an advantage as a hunter. And now I'm like, I'm alive.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. And there actually is a theory out there that back in like the caveman days, and after that, during that time frame, that like ADHD did exist. We just viewed it differently. And that's why a lot of, people, like they call them like the night owls. Like a lot of ADHD folk will stay up late at night. And the theory is that from an evolutionary standpoint, that's because we ADHD folk were quite often up at night keeping watch of the camp or the village or whatever the heck they were staying.
Little noise.
Like
small
yeah,
town.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Like that's why we're so aware of those things, because it is actually part of the evolution of our people for thousands of years, and that's why it's part of it. But now obviously we live in a different type of world, so like being distracted by things like that is seen more as a negative thing than a safety thing.
Wow. Let's talk about creativity for a second, about ADHD creativity and traditional productivity, because you do this content creation and also you have a big boy job, presumably that has like some sort of structure, and ADHD creativity isn't always neat like that. It's
correct,
impulsive and often misunderstood.
Yeah.
Where do you find that in your playtime versus work time, especially where it comes to your ADHD?
I have to give myself structure, even if it's not provided to me. I can't really rely on other people to provide the structure that I need. Thank God that, a couple years ago, I was able to pinpoint my ADHD. And so again, now I'm able to take the necessary actions that I need to take in order to survive the day. So I know that from, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., I need to do this, and that from a corporate perspective. And then from 5 p.m. to whenever I go to sleep is the content creation time. Right. But I try not to overload myself. So like, for example, any piece of content that you see of mine throughout the week was either written or filmed over the weekend. And then I schedule it out. So I dedicate my Saturdays and my Sundays are dedicated strictly to content creation. And then I schedule it out. So having that structure is me proactively being like, okay, I have a dedicated time to do this. I have 2 days to get this done. And then that leaves for example, my weeknights free. So I can, sit and watch TV, or I can hang out with my cats, or, I can do anything like that. So I just try to put systems in place that I know work for me to help me stay productive, and help me stay focused. I know what my focus time is. I know that, at night, especially like between like 8 and midnight, like that's a really creative time for me. Like I'm a lot more creative at that time. So I try to save any kind of creativeness for that time frame, and I try to do everything else outside of that time frame. So again, just setting up systems to just complement my strengths as opposed to my weaknesses, and working with my brain instead of against it.
There were so many points there. There was one thing that you almost walked over a little bit, where you had said earlier as well that knowing that you have ADHD, and I know that you're a late diagnosis person like myself, it's not an excuse, but it gives you a reason. And then once you have that reason, you can have the understanding of what to do. It's just information of this is what you have, and now we can figure out what to do with it. And I think that that's such an incredible point, because especially when I'm speaking with men, and I love working with men. I love to work with male entrepreneurs who are privately drowning. Like the person who's just like, which I think honestly is everyone. There's just very few people who are brave enough to actually ask for help, or who haven't been burnt too many times by asking for help from the wrong people.
Right.
But with men specifically, there's a tendency to really just want to jump to a solution without diving into the problem, because it feels almost like, who cares why? Just like, what do I do about it? But without necessarily talking about the it.
Yes. Sure.
Is there any way to circumvent, like, getting to know yourself and getting to know your ADHD and jumping to a solution?
Yeah, it's a very good point, because I feel as though from a male perspective, that's how we were raised, right? Like we have to, and I say this knowing that the world is just different. It really doesn't work this way. But the way that we were raised, like, we have to protect, and we have to think fast, and we have to, make sure that we provide and have a solution. Yeah, like we have to think that way in order to be a man. And so that sometimes means that you have time, nor should you spend time focusing on how you feel about it. It's just figure it out. Just do it. Oh, your arm hurts. Okay. Well, why does it hurt? Doesn't matter. Figure it out. Pull your bootstraps up and keep going. Keep pushing forward. That's just how we raised. It's toxic. And there's a lot of men as a result that, like these alpha males that you see, online now, like they're just not in touch with their inner feelings, and they just always go for these solutions. But the thing that they overlook is that the solutions come a lot easier, and they're a lot better for yourself and the people around you if you are in touch with your feelings, if you are vulnerable with yourself, if you do acknowledge your weaknesses. You have a better understanding of yourself and the people around you, which means that the solutions are not going to be band-aids. They're going to be long-term solutions that can actually take you further in life. I think any of these toxic alpha men that are out there, everything that they do is a short-term solution. Everything. Yeah. And I don't see how they could live a full, fulfilling life like that. Like how do you do it when you're not in touch with yourself and you're just so about the let's make money now? like don't you're weak if you're focused on other stuff. Find a solution right now. Okay, well, hold on. How about we take a breath and we just look at it from an internal perspective and self-reflect and think long-term about our growth as men and go from there. And then now at that point, you're not applying a Band-Aid to a bullet wound. Like you're actually finding a way to fix something internally, and that's going to play something bigger in the long run.
100%. It's so interesting that you're classifying it as feelings, because you just really unlocked something for me. For me, it's information. I have brain does bad neurons. I need to know what that means. There's tons of information out there. Once I know what that means, I can very logically break down how I see that applying in my life, and therefore I can apply other people's solutions or seek out solutions of my own to solve that problem better. But there is an element of emotional processing in there.
Yes.
Of how does this affect me? And if you skip that step, I guess you're lost in the sauce.
It's all data, right? It's all data that we have to collect and fully understand. Emotions, feelings play a big part of it. Obviously, like the logistical, literal stuff, obviously plays a factor. But again, that's very short term, in the moment kind of things. And it's like, how often do you want to just live short term? Like, if you have a better understanding, if you have the data, not only will you understand yourself for the future, but you can also prevent things from happening, potentially. Why would you not want to live like that? Why would you not want to be proactive like that?
Right.
And that requires data.
100%. And data collection is not something to be shamed for.
Correct.
You're just collecting data. It's just smart business to know what you're doing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The same way that, like, from an entrepreneurial perspective, the same way that, when you're running a business, the same way that you would look at all aspects of data that comes in, especially from a financial standpoint, you could view yourself the same way. You are a business, right? You are, working on, growing yourself the same way that you would grow a business. And how do you grow a business? You look at every aspect of it and you fully understand, okay, this money is coming from here. This money needs to be, why is this money working over here? Why is this aspect of my business growing in this one? Like, you do this whole analytical thing, looking at the literal numbers that come in and using that to figure out, okay, why is this happening? You can do the same thing as a human being for yourself. And it's a magical, beautiful thing that you're able to do that.
Wow. Especially because we have the capacity to synthesize a lot of information and a lot of data.
Absolutely.
So don't limit your capacity. That's something we're actually great at. So don't limit your capacity. And running a business or yourself with ADHD means, and you touched on this earlier, that you're not just managing tasks, you're managing your emotional regulation, your motivation cycles, or circumventing lack of motivation, the fact that motivation is a made up scam. Your own identity, rejection, especially if you're a rejection sensitive person, visibility, and all of these things, and the way that they're tied up in your identity as a person with ADHD, it's hard to put yourself out there.
Yes.
And especially as a creative person, your inner world is so much part of your product and part of what put out for everyone to see.
Yeah.
So how has that visibility for you impacted your mental health and the way that you interact with yourself?
It's hard. It's hard, admittedly. Like, I definitely don't want to sit here and talk as if all of the things that I'm saying is easy, because it's not, right? It's really, really hard, and it takes time. And even to this day, like, again, this is all still new to me.
Yeah.
So I'm still discovering a lot. But it is hard because, take neurodivergency out for a second. Being a creative, you put your art out there, you put your creative work out there, and then what do you have to deal with? You have to deal with subjectivity. Not everybody's going to like it. Like, that's not even including the neurodivergent side. That's just other people's view on who you are and the work that you put out. You add neurodivergency to it, and it's even tougher. So it's really hard to navigate that from an emotional standpoint, especially if you're rejection sensitive. But on top of that, it's also very validating. It's been very validating for me to know that I put stuff out there and I have found a community now of people that validate my feelings, validate my journey, and I can do the same thing for them. Like, I can make content that people can look at and be like, oh, I know what that's like. Oh, I've been there. That's the kind of content that I make. Every single piece of content that I put out there, I want people to be able to look at it, or at least somebody, and be like, oh yeah, I know that feeling. I've been like that. I know that. I know how that feels. And it in a small way validates their journey, so they understand that they're not alone. And that's something that, like, I never had growing up. And so, like, I try to provide that for other people. And it's also very self-therapeutic for me as well. So it is hard, but it's also very validating. But you just gotta understand that not everybody's gonna like you. Not everybody's gonna like you. Not everybody's gonna like your work. Yeah, but it's okay if they don't. Like, if somebody doesn't like me, like, there was this one person that commented on one of my posts. They said, "You're annoying," and I was like, "Well, you don't have to watch my videos. Like, nobody's forcing you to do this." And so, it doesn't matter what you do. You could be, saving kittens from going over a waterfall, and there's always going to be that one person that's like, but what about the dogs? Why are you not saving the dogs? It's always going to be something. So you just have to find ways to keep pushing forward and validate yourself, and just try to just take it with a grain of salt and give yourself some grace.
Absolutely. And remember that your brain is hardwired to seek whatever you're seeking.
Correct.
So if you already know about yourself, we have these data points. I'm a rejection sensitive person. If I start to seek anything negative and I'm a pattern recognizer, I'm going to find all the negative.
Yes.
I know that about myself. So let's not.
Yes, let's at least try not to. And it's not going to be 100% all the time. Like there's some days that I'm just like, oh man, why am I doing this? This person hates me, blah, blah. And like it happens because we're human. It's so I think it's important to understand. I want to validate people's feelings. There's nothing wrong with feeling that way. Acknowledge how you're feeling. It's just a matter of what are you going to do with that feeling now? What are you going to do about it? Not how can I prevent it? What am I going to do about it? And then in a way that'll actually help prevent it in the future, potentially.
Just at the end of the day, did I do okay? Did I do good today? Did I do my best? If you did, you're fine. If
that's how I live my life.
You slipped up, you'd fix it.
That's how I live my life. Absolutely. Like I was just talking with somebody yesterday about this, because they had asked me, like how I get through my day with all the tasks that I have, because I have a lot of tasks. And I say, I stopped looking at things from the perspective of how many boxes did I check today. And I changed the perspective to, did I give it everything I had? Like not hey, did I accomplish everything? Because we're never going to accomplish everything. But did I give it everything that I had? And if the answer is yes, that's enough for me. I gave it everything that I got. And so I try to live life that way and give myself grace.
And we have so much manufactured urgency. We have mandatory birthday leave at Alisto. You're required to take your birthday off, which I actually did not do for the first 2 years. I made everyone else do it, and I didn't do it. And then by year 3, I was like, "Okay, you're a huge hypocrite. You're annoying." So I started taking my birthday off and actually not working. But one of my assistants was saying that she was so surprised that she was allowed to take her birthday off because there's so much going on in the company. We're doing so many different things now. And the response she got from her co-assistant was, it's mandatory. You have to take your birthday off. And what I said to her was, we're not brain surgeons. There is nothing. We don't do anything urgent. There are no emergencies in what we do.
Yeah.
Something might be a little bit late. It might be a little bit whatever. It might need to be fixed or tweaked, but nothing is an emergency.
And especially because like birthdays don't come up out of nowhere. So like you can also prep for that. If you know somebody's going to be out on, January 23rd, then okay, we can prep for that. Like it's not like surprise, it's your birthday. Like it doesn't work like that, I don't think.
Right. And even if so, like there's always a way to move something around to make it work, as long as you are willing to give yourself the grace to do that.
Right. If somebody's birthday is like over the weekend, do you let them have that Friday or Monday? Like, does it like?
No.
Okay, cool, nice.
Yeah, it carries over. Actually, any point during that birthday week.
Oh, nice. So that's even more flexibility.
Yeah, because like, what the heck do I care? It's pennies on the dollar. People love birthday leave. They come back so reinvigorated. They spend their time like filming content and thinking up ideas and doing all kinds of stuff that benefits me anyways. So even if I didn't care about them as human beings, it's just good business.
Yes. Yeah.
But you were talking about the tasks that you have to do and how you are judging yourself by those tasks. There's so much invisible labor behind ADHD entrepreneurship. And we see the output, the content and the ideas and the following and the success, but they don't see not only like the rehearsal and the grip of the content, but the emotional processing to get there, the self-doubt cycles, the recovery time, presumably, after or before filming, because it's very, very personal.
Yes.
So what's some of that invisible work that you wish people understood better?
There's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes. I think that people see maybe 5 to 10% of the work itself. Like they see the videos, like they see my podcast, they see the funny videos, they see the blogs, they see the email, they see all of that. What they don't see is, the research that I would put into the blog post, the research that I would put into the deep dive ADHD videos that I make for my subscribers. They don't see when I have a guest on my podcast, the prep work that I do on that person to make sure that like I know who they are and what message they want to get across. They don't see the failure, the things that, make or start to make, and I'm like, this is not good. This is not good, you know? And so like, it's so much work, but it's also very fulfilling for me. So I don't view it as a difficult, I mean, it is difficult. I don't view it as like a thing that I hate doing. I'm not slugging through it like, oh, here we go again. Like it does fill my cup, but it is a lot of work. But what makes it worth it is like you put all this work into it and then you get this random message from somebody that's like, hey, watch your video on this and that. And now I can understand my son better, or I can understand my daughter better, or I can understand my husband or wife better. Like it makes it all worth it. And like, that's the best feeling, because you're like, okay, now I know why I spent 5 hours researching for this 500 word blog post. Now I know why I spent 3 hours editing this video, you know, like it all makes sense at that point, and it makes it all worth it.
And you are one of my dream podcast guests. Yeah. You are a bucket list item for me. Because when I was first going through my diagnosis journey, we had just landed in the United States, and I discovered TikTok was a thing, and the algorithm pointed me straight to you. And I was like, okay, this is a funny guy who likes cheese. But it was the internal dialogue. Yeah. The internal dialogue pieces that really got me. And it's the ability to see like, wow, it's not that I'm not crazy. It's just that there's other crazies of the same flavor.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. Everything. I'm really happy that my content resonated with you, and all of those videos, especially the ones of me talking to myself, like all of those come from a sense of truth. It comes from real life situations that I've been in, you know, real life conversations that I've had, real life struggles. And I always try to view things from both perspectives, so that not only can neurodivergent people relate to it, but even neurotypical people can look at it from the other perspective and be like, wait, why do you struggle with this? You know? And so like they take the other side of it, you know, like the neurotypical version of me that is having a conversation with the neurodivergent version of me. A lot of people on the neurotypical side will be like, wait, but why is this an issue? You know, and it just starts this conversation, and then in turn, people start to understand it a little bit better.
You talked a little bit earlier about the systems that you set up for yourself. And ADHD entrepreneurs are often doing twice the internal work just to kind of fill up that baseline. And when we don't acknowledge that, when we don't give ourselves the grace and the space for that, we often burn out, I think, trying to prove that we're capable enough.
Sure.
Instead of building the systems that would really accommodate and support how your brain works. So was there like a shift for you between white-knuckling it and building systems?
Yeah, and I think I'm still figuring it out, you know, like because we're very passionate people. We like neurodivergency aside, people like us we hold ourselves to a high standard. So we want the best, we want to do the best, we want to only put out the best. And so we're very hard on ourselves, but we also have to understand there's no such thing as perfection. And like, that's probably the big thing that I'm trying to teach myself is like, don't spend so much time trying to perfect something. It's not there's no such thing as perfect. I actually did a post for my subscribers where I talk about aiming for the B- instead of the A+, you know? And so like, I try to aim whenever I put out a video or put out any sort of content, I try to aim for the B-. And that's not me, like half-assing. I don't know if I can curse, but I'm not giving it. Okay. I don't know if it's like me like half-assing it, like, or if it comes across that way, but I don't view it that way. I view it as like, I'm going to try my best. And if it's not an A+, that's okay. I'm good. Like if it's good enough for a B-, that's fine. These get degrees. We used to say back in college. So, you know,
even D's get degrees.
Yeah, it's college. So
yeah. And there were some classes, there was one class that I had to do literally 4 times, the history of the welfare state.
Oh, wow.
That history or dates or things that come before or after other things, like stuff that's immovable and you just have to remember it's really not my strong.
Right.
And I kept doing that course over and over and over again. I got like a 40 and then a 30 and then a 45, and I scraped by with a 62.
Yeah.
I view that as a tremendous accomplishment and such a demonstration of like grit and resilience in the face of something that I'm just plain bad at. At the time, I thought I was dumb. But now looking back, it's just a weakness of mine. It's okay.
Yes, and it's totally okay. It's fine. And I think it's big that you recognize that. Like just the fact that you're recognizing and acknowledging that is, further than most people that refuse to acknowledge it or even understand that it's happening in the first place.
So Jess, if we can dream big for a second and end on something empowering.
Yeah.
If ADHD wasn't something that needed to be fixed, right? In an awesome world where it was just something to design around, what do you think would become possible with ADHD creativity when that grace is afforded? I don't know if that question made sense.
It does make sense. I think that the step one is understanding that ADHD, there is no way for ADHD to be fixed or cured, right? There is no cure to ADHD no matter what people say. It's all about managing it, right? If you learn how to manage your ADHD and work with it as opposed to against it, the possibilities are endless. Like, if you learn how to use hyperfocus to your advantage, I've written 3 books because I used hyperfocus to my advantage. You can get so much done, but you have to have the processes in place. You have to go to therapy. You have if medicine doesn't work for everybody, it works for me, but you have there's some non-stimulant ways to manage your ADHD. But whatever it is, no matter what you choose, as long as you put the tools in place, anything is possible. You can do anything that you want. The sky is the limit. So I think the biggest thing to your question is to understand that it can't be fixed. It's to be managed. And also that never view your ADHD as a hindrance. Try to view it as, I hate saying ADHD is a superpower. I actually refuse to say that.
I know.
Yeah, I can't stand it. I can't stand it. Yeah, well, we won't go there, but I'll go on a rant. But I do think that you can view ADHD as a positive thing. It has negative aspects to it. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But you
there
can view it as
harnessing the positives.
Yeah, exactly. So try to not view it as a hindrance and view it as a trampoline of sorts, and it can propel you forward.
This is the shift, right? Where ADHD doesn't mean that you lack discipline. It just means that your discipline has to look different for you, and you need to work with your energy instead of forcing consistent output. Build teams and support. It sounds like you do a lot on your own, but you have systems that kind of bolster that.
Yeah. I've actually had a conversation with a friend of mine recently. We went out to dinner, and she is also an entrepreneur, and she said, Kai, you're doing so much and you're growing so fast. You need to let some things go and delegate. And I'm like, I know.
Then let me introduce you to our stuff.
Yeah, I there's some things I need to delegate. And I'm talking simple tasks that things like editing my podcast. I love doing it, but I should give it away. I can hire writers for some things. I should do that.
Absolutely. Especially because you already have your processes.
Yes.
You already have a formula.
I already know what I want.
It's easy.
Yes, exactly. I need to do it. So that's actually my big plan for 2026 is to delegate and to just have these systems ongoing. So it takes a lot off my plate so I can focus on other things. That's the plan. Yeah.
The invisible isn't a weakness. And also being invisible isn't a weakness.
Oh yeah.
But giving yourself grace within that is really such a key part of the work.
Yeah.
And a huge gift to give yourself, just to free yourself from everything I think that we've been told about ourselves our whole lives.
Yeah. Not everybody has to, nor is going to understand us. And that's okay. We can continue to educate, but we can't educate our happiness and our based on other people. We can't. Otherwise, we're going to be waiting forever for that to happen. It's not going to happen. So we can always explain, but we can't, like, we just got to understand. Sometimes people are just not going to understand what we have to go through, and it's going to remain invisible even if we try to shine a light on it.
I was talking to my goddaughter, who, like me, has a tendency to over-explain. And I asked her, I think I said, are you not explaining yourself enough, or are they dumb? Then that's not like disparaging to the person that you're talking to. It's just like when I'm talking to my 7-year-old and she doesn't understand something, I wait a couple years.
That's fair.
And then I try again. But when you're talking to adults, maybe what you see is what you get, and you can choose to kind of remove yourself from situations where you're not being understood in the way that you
There's nothing wrong with that.
Prefer.
There's nothing wrong with that. It's all about protecting your space. There's this great book by my friend Judy Hu, and she wrote a book called The Boundary Revolution. And she talks about how setting a boundary isn't pushing people away. It's just protecting your space. And sometimes you got to set a boundary to protect your space. And not everybody needs to be within those boundaries. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not you being selfish. It's just you protecting your space.
And that's your main responsibility. No one else is going to protect your space. You got to do it for you.
Yep.
Kai, thank you so much for this conversation. And thank you for your work and for the content that you put out, because I know that for me, it was very impactful to come across your content, and it creates language for experiences that so many people feel, but they just don't know how to articulate. So before we wrap, tell everyone where they can find you and connect with your work.
I'm very easy to find. You can visit my website, thevibewithkai.com. You can find me on pretty much any social media platform at thevibewithkai. And when you're there, you can check out my digital store, which I'm actually renovating at the moment, but you can get my digital books. I have 3, one about ADHD for adults, one about ADHD finances, and one about ADHD for introverts. And I have my next one is ADHD in the workplace. So that one's coming. So yeah, a lot of really cool stuff. Join me on Patreon as well, where I do about 2 to 3 deep dive, 10, 15 minute deep dive videos about something ADHD related every week. So yeah, come join the little family we have over there. It's our nice little validating community.
I love it. Everybody go and join that community. And if you're listening to this and you have ever felt like your brain sees too much, feels too deeply, moves too fast, you are not broken. You're perceptive. You are creative. And learning to give yourself grace with ADHD is part of learning how to trust that. And the world needs people who can do more of that and not less. So
and if I may, thank you for creating this platform for myself and for other people, because I know that there's not a lot of platforms out there. So I appreciate you creating a platform where people can understand and talk about ADHD, and it becomes an easier conversation to have. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you. Appreciate you. See y'all next time, squirrels.